Hello. Over the last few months, Hakuho, my new Z-gauge Japanese layout, has had to take a back seat. The tail end of last season's shows meant taking 3 different layouts out at various weekends, and a continuous attempt to keep changing baseboards and stock over to support the shows. So now that I've got a deadline of March for the debut of the layout at Macclesfield show, I've really got to get something done. Principally the rest of the scenery around the front and sides, a bit more refinement on the control panel. I'm not attempting to do very much with the back, although I have started to deploy some tower blocks and skyscrapers to see how they're all going to fit in. Although the layout's been stored in its flight case and as usual comes out in pristine condition from being stored in the layout shed, an accident the other day with a full box of nails has meant that we've got some serious track damage to resolve before I can go much further. This section is going to need taking out and completely replacing. Changing sections of track is a fairly simple basic technique. However, it does help to practice in case you ever need to do one at a show. In the middle of a show you haven't got very long to get a damaged piece of track out, back in and get the thing working again. And of course quite often it's done in the gaze of the public. I've used a bit of recover track off the old Dunsmuir board off Shasta, the extension board that gradually petered out because we couldn't get any bookings for it. So that's going to save me actually painting the rail side. So once now I've got it back down again, I can go straight to ballasting. I'm going to use the same white ballast at the back of the layout's done in, but I might actually leave this relatively unweathered as if it's just been replaced in real life. So I'm actually doing a few more scenic bits. At this end I've extended the flyover with a truss girder bridge, which is basically just a Pico N-gauge one. This acts as a scenic break further across. And just behind it are the start of the Sankei buildings, which are the outskirts of the town. Now I already had some of these done already, and I've just had another 8 turn up from Tokyo, which I'll start putting together over the next few evenings. Round the back, I'm gradually getting off the idea of using the pre-printed PDF skyscrapers. And one of the things that I've resurrected is the cab forward shed off Dunsmuir, the Southern Pacific shed where the cab forward helpers used to live. That's now going to become an interurban shed, because I've managed to do 2 very nice 3D printed interurban streetcars that fit the Rockahan chassis, and they'll be the Hakuho electric tramway. Now I did have some electrical problems when I got it back out of storage, which didn't initially manifest themselves until I realised that I got dead sections, I got one controller feeding back into the other, all sorts of strange things happening. One of the things I realised is, of course, that the universal power pack that I use in all the other Z-gauge layouts with its 3 Marklin controllers, they don't particularly suit the Rockahan and 10 Shodo motors. They've got a very high starting voltage on the controllers and a very low starting voltage on the actual mechanisms themselves. So I've basically decided to eliminate that, because I really only need 2 DC outputs and 1 AC. I'm not planning on putting any lights on. So I'm using the Gauge Master controller I use on the test track up in the office, and that's going to be the principal power supply just for this layout, not for the other ones. Now the layout wasn't originally intended to go out with the photo extension boards, they're mainly for doing the magazine articles. However, the exhibition managers in their wisdom have all asked for it in this form. So the other thing I've done behind the scenes is changed over to a system whereby these are actually attached with socket cap head screws, M6 ones, toughened ones. They're going to go into captive nuts on the inside of the baseboard, and basically make the whole thing a lot more rigid and a lot more public resistant when it outed to show. So I've had a few Sankei kits turn up from Tokyo. I haven't done one for a while, so to get back in the groove I'm going to make a start with this one first, which is a townhouse. And it principally consists of pre-cut and pre-scored card with various overlays to gradually build up the detail. And I've got the main essentials that I need for doing these, which is some heavy metal blocks. You need some good square metal blocks. I'm using some Engineering V blocks. I understand not many people are going to have a pair of these lying around. And also some lathe tools, hardened steel lathe tools. Because I'm going to put these together with PVA, you're going to have a while waiting while PVA goes off. So you need to keep the things absolutely square. This will keep them square, straight and in line while the PVA cures, and then you can go on to the next layer of detail. The instructions are in Japanese only, but there's a full set of exploded diagrams, so it's fairly easy to work out where everything's supposed to go. So I'm using decent quality resin WPVA. I'm just going to apply it with a cocktail stick. It doesn't need any more than that. In part 5 I'm going to carry on with the Sankei buildings and really start to build up the outskirts of the town. These will be low-rise traditional Japanese buildings primarily made of wood. And we'll also have a look at some of the Stefan Z. Barnes 3D printed vans and lorries that I'm going to use as generic vehicles just to add some street life.